that? Like 2 years? Right? Like 2 years ago. And it was my first time performing on the South Side, which was really, really cool and interesting in a lot of different ways. And afterwards, I had we're selling books and all of that stuff. And this kid came up and was talking to me, and I felt really touched and moved by what he had to say to me. He grew up in this neighborhood and was really excited that a poet grew up on the same side of town that he did. He was like, I didn't know poets grew up around here. Like, that's not what we do. He didn't say that, but that's the idea, right? Like, if you're Latino and male and you grow up on the South Side, like, you don't really amount to much. Yeah, at least that's the thought. Like, that's the perception, which obviously isn't true in a lot of ways. But that moment really stuck with me, and I wrote a poem about that specific moment, but a couple of other things at the same time. This is called Kickball. I would always kick my toe against the ground. Before I continue, this is the first time I'm reading it. These next two are new poems, but this one is the first time I'm reading it out loud. So bear with me. I would always kick my toe against the ground before making contact with the ball. Something I learned early on playing soccer, but this was before soccer was something only the wetbacks played, before football became more important, more American than football. This habit of toe tap then kick would reveal itself again when given kicking duties on varsity, something my friends still mock me for. But it always came in handy when we would play kickball at the United Community Center, right around the block, while waiting for our mom to pick us up after work. Home plate was always underneath the basket at the east entrance. The stage was situated against the west wall of the building. Rule number 1, call no bouncies before the first pitch. Rule number 2, runner advances on a throw to the head. Rule number 3, anything that lands on the stage on the fly is an automatic home run. I always swung for the stage. Not understanding whatever physics were involved, it caused more hamstring injuries than actual home runs. These days, there's something nostalgic about the game. The smell of the ball, pungent and fresh. The sting it leaves against whatever part of your leg it comes in contact with. The duck and cover of base running. The swing for the stage and the pop of the hamstring that follows. I haven't played in over a decade, but the memory clings like plastic wrap, protecting it from aging. The UCC isn't the same one I remember. Gutted and remodeled to include a theater and administrative offices, a senior center, and a youth development program. The new gym is part of a charter school created to meet the needs of local children. There are hints of something different here. It's soft breath, warm against the gray concrete and new construction. It's hard to discern whether it's gentrification at its best or the blooming flower of a Latino renaissance. This area is no longer just the South Side, but a named community, Walker's Point, wanting to disassociate itself from what it used to be. I was the last-minute addition to the lineup. The performance space is small and packed, mostly family and friends who've come to hear me read. 20 minutes and I'm done. The feature is a white vegan political activist throwing his poems like daggers at the feet of the audience. You remember. Afterwards, we're both selling merchandise. He sells his for a living, a paycheck. I sell mine because I have them. In between handshakes and thank yous, a young man half my age is waiting his turn. Paging through my book, he tells me he writes too. His name is brown and heavy, rose clumsily off the tongues of the teachers he suspects have given up on him. He wants to ask me a question. His hands fidget, grab at the nothing in his pocket he's become accustomed to. You grew up here? Me too, he says. Asked if I ever been to UCC. Damn, he says, me too. I tell him that it's different than I remember. Find it hard to believe the old gym is a new theater. Tell him the new gym makes me feel old and foreign, a visitor. Tells me he loves my work. Wanting to buy my book, he opens his wallet without wanting to. He shows off the emptiness inside of it. His friend shows him $2. I know that feeling. The heat welling up inside in your collar. The awkward embarrassment of a declined card is the same reason I never want to save 10% on my purchases at Target. I tell him to take it. The $5 less important than the excitement of knowing I played kickball at the same community center 25 years earlier.